Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Thank you for tuning in. Today, some interesting stories to cover, including apparent Binance hack that occurred or allegedly occurred yesterday, and the information is still yet to be confirmed, and some other stories as well. And before I begin, none of this is legal, tax and or financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, so always do your own research as well. Okay, starting off with the story I just touched on earlier. News resurfaced that Binance's Know Your Customer, or KYC data, had been hacked and uploaded into a Telegram group dubbed Find Your Binance KYC. Several images of people holding their IDs and the exchange's verification process were posted in Telegram groups, causing customers to panic. In response, CEO Changpeng Zhao addressed the allegations, going down the list there. Just for those not looking at the screen, it's a tweet showing various photos and IDs of customers, or those that have completed the extra verification process to increase the withdrawal limits and all. And this has apparently been leaked. Now, going down the list, it's an official tweet here from Changpeng Zhao. Okay, so I've jumped over onto CZ's Binance Twitter page. It's just for brevity. Down to the tweet here where he addresses the FUD. He says, "Don't fall into the KYC leak." In inverted commas, FUD we are investigating, will update shortly. He also retweeted this post here by Dovey Wan, who is from Primitive Ventures, and that is a crypto investment holding company. So she's been a prominent commentator in the space as well. She says here, it seems to be the same old Binance KYC hack dated back in August 2018, so about a year ago, and which happened to be reported this year as well, based on what's in the image there. And going up the list, and he again reiterates ignoring the FUD and just focusing on building the Binance blockchain and improving that. There is an official announcement. I will just jump over to that here. Okay, so dear Binanceans, we would like to inform you that an identified individual has threatened and harassed us, demanding 300 Bitcoin in exchange for withholding 10,000 photos that bear similarity to Binance KYC data. We are still investigating this case for legitimacy and relevancy. After refusing to cooperate and continuing with this extortion, this individual has begun distributing the data to the public and to media outlets. First and foremost, there are inconsistencies when comparing this data to the data in our system. At the present time, no evidence has been supplied that indicates any KYC images have been obtained from Binance, as these images do not contain the digital watermark imprinted by our system. With that said, our security team is hard at work pursuing all possible leads in an attempt to identify the source of these images. Okay, for brevity, just scrolling down this announcement here, he spoke about apparently this data was covered in a previous news article, or information there on that link. Binance is offering a bounty to 25 Bitcoin if anyone is able to provide clear evidence and help identify this person and be able to get access to this person through legal means and try and get to the bottom of this, really. And hopefully they manage to catch them, because things like this puts a huge dampener on confidence in not just in exchanges, but also cryptocurrencies overall. I mean, it sounds very superficial, and it's misleading to say that in a way, because we know that incidents like this happen even with well-established financial institutions. You could have data breaches, you could have hacks, things occur that many of these hacks probably occur that we're not aware of, and they could be, anyway, I'm digressing. The whole point of this is, it's not so much to specifically focus on this incident, it's to reiterate the importance of making sure that you store your crypto in a secure wallet, preferably one of the hardware wallets that are offline. So you've got Ledger and Trezor being two there, and I'll provide a link to give you some of the best tips I've given in regards to a video I made about storing cryptocurrencies. So a link there for you to check out. As always, you should never put a lot of money on a crypto exchange in general. If you were to, then you should at least spread out, say, small amounts across different exchanges. The way I look at it, just to the defense of people who have chosen not to purchase a hardware wallet, it could be a case of someone's new to the space, they're just dabbling in crypto, they popped in $300 to see what happens with it. If a wallet costs $100 or $120, I don't think people can justify spending a third of their current crypto holdings for a wallet. Maybe down the track, as the prices increase or are anticipated to increase, then they could justify it. So there are cases when people, for various reasons, would choose to use an exchange. It could be for convenience, being able to switch from one crypto to another in a matter of seconds, all of that. Just quickly jumping back to this hack, I do want to move on shortly, but if we go down this article here, let's have a look. This was published shortly after the last hack, the confirmed hack, and Binance also verified this, which occurred in May, whereby at the time hackers stole 7,000 Bitcoin worth approximately $40 million US. I do want to point out the following piece of information here in the 14 tips for security on your account. It actually says here, consider managing some funds in your own wallet. So Binance has actually recommended that as well. So just another quick thing just something else to point out before moving on to the next article. The limit, the level 1 verification limit, where you don't have to provide your details, so like passport information and your photo, that limits 2 Bitcoin already. Now, at the moment, that's what, 22 to 23,000 US. I think to myself, and that's per day, that's a daily limit. How much money are you storing on a crypto exchange? I guess people could be using the exchanges if they wanted to somehow cash out, although you can't. The thing is though, you can't cash out on Binance. Well, I haven't been able to, so I don't see the whole point in having such a large withdrawal limit. I mean, there are so many other exchanges you could use, because again, the whole point is you should be storing most of your funds offline, whether it be a hardware wallet or any other wallet where you have full control over the privacy keys. Anyway, let's see what happens to get some further updates. I'll provide a link to all of this, and you be the judge. Time will tell. All right, and there's just quickly pointing out here, and this, so as you can see, yes, this was covered by various news outlets, crypto news outlets in the space. Okay, moving on to the next story. Coinbase is now in the news. So from one major exchange to another, it's been a bad day for them, or at least the major ones, based on this information here. So a US judge has ruled Coinbase can be sued for negligence over its contentious 2017 Bitcoin Cash, or BCH, listing, describing the actions of the iconic US cryptocurrency exchange as constituting incompetence born of haste. In inverted commas there, Bloomberg reported. There's a link there to the original article. The news sheds light on the progress of a class action lawsuit filed in 2018 by Binance customer Jeffrey Burke, which leveled a host of allegations at the San Francisco-based exchange, including that it had been negligent, instigated insider trading, and violated consumer protection laws in its listing of the crypto. The debacle dates back to December the 19th, 2017, when BCH began to surge hours before a surprise announcement by Coinbase that the crypto would be listed on its institutional platform, GDAX, now Coinbase Pro. Minutes after the announcement, Binance skyrocketed nearly $1,000 in price and was paused for trading. So as we can see here, there's the major spike there. It threw a lot of things into disarray at Coinbase. Obviously, when there are allegations of insider trading and you get a major spike, that's an increase there of what? So if it goes up $1,000 in a day, that's 25 to 30% increase for what would have been at the time. So if we look at the market cap, it spiked up to 69 billion US dollars. So we're dealing with a huge amount of funds here. No wonder why people would be infuriated or say livid by this situation. This article poses the question, did Coinbase hurry the listing deliberately? An input here from the US District Judge Vince Chahabria. Pardon my pronunciation. So the judge validated buyers in their claim that Coinbase had rushed the listing in order to depress the price of Bitcoin and impact the futures contracts and futures trading, again in inverted commas there, on Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or CME, which had launched the day before, an event popularly attributed to causing the precipitous decline of Bitcoin down from its all-time high on the 17th of December 2017. That was a very difficult day for some, I guess myself included. Seeing the market just drop, like nosedive in such a short period of time. We'll have to remain updated. I'll keep you posted about this story in the near future once further developments arise, just like the Binance alleged hack. What are your thoughts on this information so far? I forgot to mention as well, if you enjoy the content, subscribe and smash the bell icon if you want to stay up to date. Let's continue. Haven't finished yet. This is based on a listener request. So John from the USA had asked me a question a few days ago. He said, what are your thoughts on the G20 committing to the implementation of FATF guidelines? So these FATF guidelines in relation to combating money laundering and terrorist financing as well. Now, just to backtrack, you're probably wondering, what on earth is FATF? From the official website here, the Financial Action Task Force is an intergovernmental body established in 1989 by the ministers of its member jurisdictions. Its objectives are to set standards and promote effective implementation of legal, regulatory, and operational measures for combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and other related threats to the integrity of the international financial system. And they refer to themselves as a policy-making body, in air quotes, which works to generate the necessary political will to bring about the national legislative and regulatory reforms in these areas. In terms of its member states, just to give you some perspective here, of its organization, many of them in Europe, although we've got them scattered about the world there. So back to this, it was based on the meeting back in June earlier this year at Fukuoka, and as G20 finance ministers and central bank governors convening to discuss this information here. I feel as though a lot of this is being devised so that it kind of eases the pressure on banks and the current financial system for this to become mainstream and for institutional investors to really get their foot in the door and to commit funds, like say vast amount of funds. Many of them, I'm not saying all, but require more government regulations and clarity from their financial departments about the exact legitimacy of cryptocurrencies, what are the rules governing its usage and distribution and trading, all of that. Governments want their share of tax. What amount is fair? I mean, you be the judge. And to be honest, that is a completely different topic for discussion. How much tax should be taken from cryptocurrencies and digital assets in the future? Legitimate concerns about this potentially funding terrorist activities or money laundering. These do occur with fiat as well. This organization, finance ministers and all the government representatives from the G20 nations need to look at both fiat and crypto to address these issues. This just goes on about economic growth, trying to be sustainable with managing the debt, sufficient taxation, and a lot of these goals that have been set to try and make it more, they say more equitable and just and transparent and all that stuff. But again, actions speak louder than words. I'm skeptical of a lot of what government says, to be honest. Anyway, the information's there for you to read. I feel as though if there are excessive regulations, then this will just burden the cryptocurrency industry or stifle innovation. You get a brain drain going from a lot of these companies, these countries, I should say, that are imposing some very strict laws governing the use of cryptocurrencies. Then a lot of people will just go elsewhere to the more crypto-friendly jurisdictions. Switzerland, you've got Georgia, there's Estonia as well, Malta. Let's see, and I'm thinking of India, the draconian laws they have about that, and I made a separate about cryptocurrencies and all, and I made a separate video pertaining to that for your reference. Let's move on. I came across this article. This is just a very quick side note here. So this is a Medium piece. This was written last year, but still relevant, talking about the fundamental analysis of cryptos. So how do you assign an intrinsic value to a specific crypto? And this talks about utility, a market strategy, adoption potential, fundamentals in detail, information there for you to read. I want to wrap up with the prices overall in the market. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is Binance Coin is one of the biggest gainers of the day, despite this alleged hack. The thing I find bizarre is we've got a lot of these coins that they've either received positive or neutral news in recent times and the prices have dropped. And this is, I'm looking at the weekly trends here. And then you've got Bitcoin, which again, yes, you've got more adoption, more institutional investors getting on board. But I'm seeing this general trend with Bitcoin going up because I feel as though my two thoughts are, one, as more of the institutional investors are opening up and supporting Bitcoin trading, then we're seeing an uptick in the price. But I think in particular what's happening is that we need to look at the dominance of Bitcoin relative to the overall cryptocurrency market. This increase in the price corresponds to its increasing dominance, and then we're seeing that coming at the expense of the altcoins, and this trend's continuing. Some commentators in the space believe that this dominance could hit 80% sometime in the near future. Could that be by the end of this year? Well, who knows? But if that were to happen, if we extrapolate, even if it hits about 76-77% dominance. It's something that we will not have seen in at least 2.5 years. I shouldn't say could this be a sign of things to come, because cryptocurrency market has evolved quite a bit since early 2017. Time will tell. Overall, again, I just don't get why XRP, the price of it is still so low. I personally think, again, not financial advice, just my opinion, it is one of the most undervalued cryptos out there. I mean, they're constantly making these partnerships. They're trying to be as compliant as possible. We have more exchanges listing them. You're getting more XRP base pairs, but if we see this year, not just calendar year, but specifically the last 12 months, it has declined from exactly a year ago, where it was 43 cents and it's now 31 cents. Since, it's just barely moved since before April, like 2018. And even then, unfortunately, we had a huge drop, which I think was actually warranted when you look at all that, because that's just an insane amount of growth in such a short period of time. So the pullback was natural, but it just looks brutal when you see that massive ascent and then proportional descent as well. Okay, but looking at cryptos in general, Litecoin has not taken off despite that halving event that occurred a few days ago. Surprise. As I said, Binance is up 8% there. Ethereum's just stagnant overall. Stellar's dropped significantly, and I also want to point out here major movements over the past 30 days, a 22% drop. And if we look at the price, it's one of the lowest prices in a while. This is rather concerning. And this ties in with the departure of a Bitcoin bull who was heading the blockchain team at IBM. One of the biggest partners Stellar has, if not the biggest. So the departure of Jesse Lund has left a major void. The prices are anything to go by. It's a long way up, and it creates uncertainties and casts a shadow behind the project with its long-term survival. Okay, I've said a lot there about the market. That's pretty much it. I mean, all up and down. V Systems is up 15%. Decred down 14%. Grisha down 11%. The rest are pretty much up or down 2 to 3%. Anyway, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you like this video. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the latest videos. And don't forget to share this with other people as well who you believe will benefit from this. Leave your feedback in the comments section. And thanks for tuning in. Sorry if I sound a bit tired, I will admit. So I've kind of left this video to a bit late in the evening. It's been a hectic week. As always, it's actually a busy time. I have to admit, whilst people are on holidays in Europe and North America, it's still a pretty busy time here in Australia. So anyway, thanks again. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will speak to you soon.